I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Go ahead and just bring this.
And
So you just put it on the podium back.
Okay.
all right, I'm going to ask Mr. Mitchell if you'll lead us in an invocation.
Let's pray. Most gracious Father, we come to you tonight to do business, to help those who have disabilities, adults. We view them as a treasure, a gift from God, someone who needs our attention, this county's attention, and the world's attention. Let not them fall through cracks, but may we lift them up, for they are children of your Son, Jesus Christ. We pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Nice. Thank you, Brad. Roll call. Mr. Uzzle. Not certain about Mr. Uzzle. Mr. Pytak is out of town this month. Fred Mitchell.
Here.
Julian Wilson. Here. Renee Akery.
Here.
Heather Creech. And Melinda Shortridge, yeah.
I'm here.
All right, very good. All right. I'm going to ask you to take a moment and look at my attempt to do minutes, and I suspect there may be some corrections there, but you would give that a quick look.
I think you did a great job myself.
Thank you.
I wasn't here, so I think you did an amazing job.
I'll make a motion that minutes be approved.
Did I get a second on that?
Second.
All right, thank you. I also have given everybody a copy of tonight's agenda. I'd like you to take a moment and have a look at that. All right, Mr. Uzzle, welcome.
Good evening. How y'all?
We're fine.
Good.
Could you get up the elevator?
Yes, ma'am.
I provided you with a copy of the minutes from last month and tonight's agenda. And we're about to take a look at the agenda, and hopefully I'll have a motion to approve it.
Make a motion that the agenda be approved.
We get a second on that?
Second.
All right, gotta get a vote. Those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Now, I've always made it our habit to open the floor first to any citizens who've come to be with us tonight. I don't like to have them wait too long. So if there's anyone from the community that would like to speak, I welcome you to come up forward. All right, very good. Now, tonight we're very fortunate to have two speakers with us. We'll have Kristen Wilda from Hands and Hearts Foundation will speak to us, and Mike Fignish. Did I get close this time, Mike?
Close.
Close. Okay. Well, you and I both have those exotic Eastern European names that are hard to come on. So
That's right.
forgive me. All right. So I'm going to ask Kristen Wilda if she would be our first speaker this evening, and that I would like the commission to have an opportunity to ask her some questions about the Hands and Hearts Foundation. And Kristen and I have been working together with that foundation for, she tells me, 8 years. Time has really flown by, Kristen.
We're going into our 10th year, starting in January, so.
Thank you. Please come up then.
I thought I was going to be sitting around a table with y'all. I didn't understand it. Well, hello, everybody.
Mike.
I remember Mike from the task force. I was on the task force with you.
Right.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson.
I think you taught my boys.
I did. That's what everybody's shouting for.
Gloria and I were on the social services board. Nice to see everybody. Hands and Hearts started out as a can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It started out as just something I thought about and written about in my journal for many, many years. I grew up with a sister who was severely disabled, and she did not grow up in an era where she had the benefit of public education or really anything, but she's lived with our family and she had 6 little brothers and sisters, and so life was very stimulating for her, and we certainly learned a lot of life lessons living with Megan and loving Megan. But anyway, I was a special ed teacher, but spent most of my years as a mom to 5 children, and so I just always wanted to do something for the adults in the community who left high school and didn't have anything to engage them. And the Medicaid waiver is something that not everybody is afforded, and if you don't have it, you go home. Jill Waltney and I talked a lot back in those years, and as Jill said, you go home and just wave from the porch to everybody that goes by. So we were trying to come up with a remedy for that, and my mentors were actually the folks at Eggleston in Norfolk, Eggleston Services. I got a hold of their president and I visited him several times, and then had a couple more meetings with different people on the staff, because at the time I actually didn't understand things like Medicaid waivers. I didn't really know how Eggleston worked, and I just showed up there and said, you guys need to come to Smithfield because we need something. And that wasn't really feasible, but they helped me come up with the notion of just starting a little weekly coffee clash, I guess you could say. It was just not, even though we don't drink coffee, we drink hot chocolate. But so they were encouraging and wonderful, and actually let me start Hands and Hearts under their fiscal umbrella. So we were able to accept donations through Eggleston that were tax deductible. And we started off, and I had a community meeting at the library one very, very hot summer night. Just, is anybody interested in something like this? And it was amazing the number of people that came out, not only with family members, but also who were interested in helping. And then just rolling forward a little bit, I was a member at Trinity Methodist Church, and the pastor there said, why don't you use the academy, which is a little detached brick building. So we started our meetings, and I'd known Howard already, and I don't remember how we actually got connected with Austin, and even though I knew Austin.
I read the article in the Smithfield Times about your program.
Okay. And so we started out with a small group, and we've grown to, right now we have 13 adults with special needs who vary from, and adults with disabilities from age, I guess 23, 24 to 63. So there's quite a variety, and there's many different capabilities in the group, but they're all just really good friends, and they all watch out for each other, and it's just a really lovely thing to see. And so that's where we are. We recently, I should say, thanks to Howard's efforts, have become a foundation. We're no longer under Eggleston's umbrella. We're not under Trinity's umbrella. We became our own 501c3, but then have moved forward and grown to become a foundation. So we are Hands and Hearts Foundation Incorporated. We're also a corporation, thanks to Howard. And we are just doing what we can to provide, more than anything, just friendship and fellowship to those in the community who need a place to go. Everybody wants to belong. And we take it for granted. It's so easy for us to call up a friend and say, hey, you want to go get lunch, or decide that we want to go to Target and just, wander around. And those things are really, really special when you do them with a group of friends with Hands and Hearts. And I know you really know that. And so we, that's the foundation of what we're trying to provide. And we also, because of that, are able to offer the opportunity to learn not just community skills, social skills, but we have a little thrift shop now, something special, which is, are we going on 4 years? I think we are.
And I think it'd be 4 years of St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, And that was born of a conversation with Tim at the Chili Hill Thai food place there on Main Street. And he said, why don't you rent those front rooms and make it a thrift shop? So we ended up jumping in, and it's been quite an endeavor, and it's been really, it's not a financial success, but that's okay, because that's not what we're in it for. We are there to provide an opportunity, once again, for our pals to engage with the community, and they are learning skills, of course, too. It's a pretty small endeavor just because our space is so small, so we can't have but 2 or 3 of them volunteering at a time. But it's a fun place to be. If they haven't come, there's actually some beautiful stuff there because our community is so generous to us. But so it's another tangent, another mission of Hands and Hearts. Howard, tell me, I planned nothing for this. I'm sorry. We were doing laundry all day. It was
Give
Hands
us-
and Hearts. So,
I'm tired as well.
sorry, I'm trying to think.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving us the background of the program. And I didn't know how many people in the community really knew the extent of what was going on and how long things have been going on. But I wanted to give the board, the commission, a chance to ask questions of you as well as anyone in the any of the citizens that are in attendance tonight. Several of us are very aware, obviously, but there are some people here who may not have been to something special or had a chance to come to one of our crazy, amazing Wednesdays.
Crazy and amazing, that's us.
On your behalf and mine, I would like to invite all of you to come to see what goes on. But are there some questions here from the commission?
What are your hours of being open for?
Well, the thrift shop has very set hours of Wednesday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we also open up if there's special events in town, like the mistletoe market coming up and Witches Night Out and things that Main Street might have going on. As far as our weekly, we were a weekly meeting for the first 8 years basically, and my life has evolved in the last 8 years. We're all volunteers. The only paid person in this whole shebang would be Jane, who is our thrift shop manager, and so nobody else is paid to work with our pals. And my life has just gotten extra full, and my parents have gotten extra old, and so we kind of pared down to where we're meeting 2 to 3 times a month instead of 4 times a month. And those are on Wednesdays from 10 until 1:30. And any of you would be very welcome to drop in, but I'd like to ask that you not just show up, or maybe you could talk to Howard, because we do have, especially at the beginning of our meetings, we have a time where everybody shares. And sometimes they share things that are kind of personal or troubling, or and they're talking with their friends, and so we welcome you to come and be with us, but probably not during that time.
Yeah.
Because it would just change the dynamic in the room.
They might not talk.
What's that?
Yeah, they might not would
Yeah.
communicate,
The only time they really never talk is during lunch. Do you have that too, Jamie? We have the quietest room during lunch. But so does that answer your question? And there's no cost to our participants. And I've never said no to anybody. In fact, I'm seeing somebody later this week who might become a new member, but I do have to be cautious because my volunteer, there's only so many of us and we can only spread ourselves so thin. So it just has seemed to work that some members have moved away, some sadly have passed away. But we've hovered around a dozen since the end of the first year, I think, and we're right there now, we're at 13.
We have a facility, thanks to the Masons. It is large enough to accommodate more, but because of the shortage of adult volunteers to support the program, we don't feel like we could go beyond 14.
Somewhere around 14 or 15, who knows what would happen if number 15 or 16 showed up, but, and yeah, we're just limited in that regard. And hopefully I'm gonna be retiring from my other job. I own a shop, on Main Street, and, I'm kind of hoping to be able to step back from that and, have more time for, and energy for Hands and Hearts. So who knows what's ahead.
So volunteers are one of the things that we,
Boy, do we need volunteers, and our thrift shop greatly needs volunteers, and even if someone could come once a month and volunteer for a few hours, it would be helpful. Our volunteers are critical. They're not so much in terms of retail, even though if you can learn to use the register, Jane would be thrilled. So Howard can't use the register.
so I failed that course.
But
I didn't like it either, Howard.
but our volunteers there are also to engage with our we have all kinds of names. They're my kids, they're my peeps, they're my pals.
Mhm.
I know I've some people don't like hearing that, but it's kind of hard.
Mhm.
Our
They're
members
friends.
our members is so formal, but our teaching, that's how you learn skills, when somebody is there with you and saying, let's speak to this person who's come in, and they love the shop, and Jason will tell you all about how he's the CEO, and he's the supervisor, and he's a lone ranger, a lone star cowboy, and a loan officer.
Right.
So those are the moments that make it all just really amazing. They really do.
I would like to say, as a volunteer who hasn't been there in a while, because I've had some of my own challenges, I miss it tremendously, and I want to get back. Because I get more out of the time I spend with them than they could ever get out of the time. They're just such a pleasure to be with. And you walk away at the end of the day and feel so good about the experiences and the time you have with them. They're just amazing group of young adults.
It's a true, there's unconditional love.
Yeah.
And they'll laugh at all your jokes.
Yeah.
That's my thing,
So have you, where do you advertise for volunteers, have you?
Yeah, on them.
Pretty much social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do
social
you have a
media.
problem if we put it like in church bulletins? Like I have friends
No.
who are in churches and, okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. That would be great.
Kristen, how about space for young people or with disabilities or any adult with disability to work in the shop? Do we have room in our schedule to bring additional people in if they were interested in working in something special?
You mean volunteering or working?
As workers?
So
Like
paid
in-
workers like me?
No.
Okay, and the reason I say that is we have to be careful. We have one employee, and then all of our Hands and Hearts members who work there are called volunteers, because actually their parents are happy with them, that they don't have to worry about reporting any income and with all that goes on with benefits.
Right.
But they do each get a gift at the end of their shift. They get 5 $1 bills, and they really love that. And I actually have somebody coming in Thursday that we've not met before who's interested in being a volunteer. Her sister's bringing her in. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Somebody new, yeah.
So there is space.
We
on
would
our-
just we have to make the space. I mean, we just have to share the space
Right.
and figure it out. So that's kind of how I see it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to?
So for a volunteer, do you have to go for a background check or anything? Is there any?
You know what? That's interesting that you asked that, because I was going to segue into, have a Smithfield Baptist Church has offered to do background checks on our volunteers for Hands and Hearts, and that's in part because we plan on volunteering at something new that's going on there. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I have mixed feelings about. I'd love to just background check everybody, but it costs money. And I don't want to, and we're in this small community where you kind of know people, and I know that sounds really unprofessional but I guess so far I've relied on small town community goodwill, you know? I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Should we be requiring every volunteer to be background checked?
I'm just gonna bring up something that happened this past week, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not, but, and it was on social media. There is a gentleman who's been going around from church to church in a van.
Uh-huh.
And he's been, and you know, most pastors have a very warm heart, very warm heart. And, you know, I guess like you said, Kristen, we're in a small community and we just haven't been people that vetted people for things like that. But this gentleman claimed to have 3 children and a wife, and he has been to several different churches. And at the end of the service, well, I know of one church where the pastor brought him up and he introduced him and told everybody he was driving his van outside. He had 3 children and a wife at home. He had no job and he needed help. 2 Sundays in a row, he came to that church, and the church poured their hearts and their pocketbooks out for him. It turns out he's been going to church to church to church doing this. It's believed there's no children, there's no wife. It's a scam. And I hate that's the world we live in now. But unfortunately, it seems like that's what we see a lot of anymore. And you want to give, but you almost have to. At this point, a pastor has to say, I need to see your driver's license. I need to, do a background or something. That's ridiculous. Those are the kind of things you got to look at. But it's just a thought, just to share
Well,
that
I'm sorry. I think with the population that you're dealing with,
A very vulnerable
they're
population.
very loving.
Yes.
They're very loving, very trusting.
Yes.
I would hate for someone
to take advantage.
take advantage of it. So I don't think anything would be wrong with it. I don't know how deep background checks go. Are you checking for 25 years ago, or you just going to make sure they're not on a sexual register or something of that nature? As long as it's not, because everybody makes mistakes, and I would hate for one mistake of an adult, so they did that wasn't violent, they didn't pay child support or something, ended up in jail. Now they're trying to do better, but they can't because they got this mark on it. So I would recommend a background check, because someone could come in and work for 4 or 5 months, ease and gaining everyone's trust, and then do something that's not nice.
You're not
I
talking
do
about the adult with special needs, you're talking about the volunteer.
Yeah, somebody that would come in and say, I want to help.
And I think they can
I
pay
know
for themselves. I would pay.
Yeah, if I was volunteering, and you
Yeah,
wanted
I would not.
Well, I will talk to, Smithville Baptist has, I know that it's not that expensive, even if, it's like $25 to do a background check, but if I do it through Smithville Baptist, it's about $12 or $13, and they've offered to do it for us who are going to be, I don't know the last time I had a background check. I had a secret clearance at one point, so they checked me pretty well then, but I've lived a lot of life since then. So Howard can report back to you next month on what we,
I'll say that I have to have one for the travel company I work with every year. I don't know whether it's an every year process. That's a good question, because the travel company just sends me the information, I do it.
well, I'll find out from Smithfield Baptist how they do that, and if they're willing to let us do that under their umbrella and save, because unfortunately we are kind of strapped. We do have some savings, but we lose money at our thrift shop every month, and we used to fret a lot about that. And then we decided, you know what, the mission is for our pals. It's not to, and as long as we can keep it going, we've had some nice donations that make up for the shortfalls, and we'll just keep going as long as we can. And so far, so good. And we just got a $10,000 check from Smithfield VA Events. We applied for that grant. So I will get the ball rolling with our with our background checks.
Okay, very good.
I have another question. You say you kind of run into a deficit each month.
Mhm.
Have you checked with the local churches and asked, would they, my church does a budget every year. They even gave $200. Each church, local church gave $200. Have you kind of looked out and,
At this time, we have not, it's not that we don't, I guess if we ever needed to, we're okay right now. We have
Okay.
a CD that, because we had one person who gave us $20,000 2 times. And so we're doing okay, and then
Okay.
we get these other, if I ever really were in need, I'm not gonna just shut the shop down without trying to
okay,
solicit more, so, yeah.
okay.
And I'll tell them all that Mr. Wilson sent me.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great. May I just segue
Yes,
real
please,
quickly into
please.
this? I have a friend, she's actually the pastor's wife at Smithfield Baptist, Jen Wood. And she talked to me a while back about starting a game night. She has a little boy who is disabled, and she would like to provide an opportunity once a month for disabled people of all ages to come together and play games, and it would include families too. It's a chance for families to network and enjoy one another. And so we're trying the first one, and so Howard came with me when I first met with Jen because he wanted to, get a feel for what this was so that we could hopefully promote it even through the commission somehow by you all helping spread the word. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Smithfield Baptist is right there is everybody familiar with it? It's right, okay. They've got a really great family activity center, family life center, and there's everything from basketball, I already have Brendan on board, to like air hockey and ping pong, but they also are going to dedicate a room to doing some video games, which will be important to some of the older and younger like kids. Board games, we're gonna have a Pokemon table, and then we're gonna have an area with like snacks and drinks, and families can just be there. Ideally, you'll come in and you'll send Brendan off to do what he wants, and he'll make new friends, and you'll make hopefully some new friends. And so that's what we're trying to do, and we want to do it every month on the first Friday, from 6 till 8. Our kickoff is on November 7th, and they have a really great setup at Smithfield Baptist, like for their summer vacation Bible school, where they use Kid Check, and you can check in, so people can go to that. It's not a UPC. What do they call it again? This thing.
QR code?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, QR. You can go to that, and the idea is that people will sign up beforehand, and then they'll show up, and there'll be information there, there'll be a medical, anything that's needed. So I think this could be really fun, and I hope that some of you might, and they can use volunteers too. So if any of you have any interest, you can get a hold of the folks at Smithfield Baptist, or me, or Howard will connect you. But I'm excited about this. I think this could be a really fun monthly happening.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Sure.
We appreciate you coming out tonight.
No more hands.
Pardon?
Is there a phone number on hands?
No, because you know what? I think Shannon, the church secretary, didn't want a whole bunch of people calling. But if you needed to call, you can go, if you went to Smithfield Baptist online, you can connect to them. I think they were just worried that if there was a phone number, people might immediately start calling, and she's the church secretary doing everything else, so, but I can get the number for
Listen,
you.
I have to stop by. I can stop by again.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't entertain.
okay. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Sounds great.
So I will have Howard report to you on, what's going on. Do any of you have a place you could put one of these up, whether it's your church or your, I'm gonna put,
Give me a couple of months, drop them off at the,
I'm gonna put them up like at the ice cream parlor. Could you take them, Jimmy?
Yeah.
yeah.
Just wanted to put one up in our town post.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kristen, you're Heather. Heather, okay. Oh, Heather.
Yes, we're gonna talk about our plans in a few minutes.
Okay. Do you have, can you put one up? Well, Liberty's so huge.
I can put one in the Smithfield one, or at least with the Zach, they open in November.
Oh,
Okay.
they're gonna open in
The facility
November?
opens in November, yes.
You're kidding.
Wow, I didn't know they were that close.
They're that close.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Yes, we're excited.
Could you put one at, is there like at the bulletin board at Mickey Park or something?
Yes,
Thank you. thank you for your time. Thanks for your
Thank you, Kristen.
suggestions and for your support.
We have a second speaker tonight from Isle of Wight Parks and Rec. And Mike, I'm not going to take another shot at your name.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman. Mike Frickenese from Isle of Wight County Parks and Recreation. But you know what, Howard, I think, so Frickenese is an Eastern European name, sorry for the tangent, and part Polish, part Slavic, and one half of the family calls it Frickenese, so it's not far off.
Okay.
It's just, nobody will understand that though, except for my father's side of the family. So thank you for inviting me tonight. Howard asked me to come here and address two issues. So, and I'll just do a little quick background and then open it up for questions because I'm really here to answer as many questions as you have and try to alleviate any concerns. The first of which is about Jamie's role with the Parks and Recreation Department, and after that is about the budget, which the Commission for Adults with Disabilities utilizes. So Jamie's role with the Parks and Recreation Department, she's been with the department just about as long as I am, almost 3 years. And I know some of you here in the room are very familiar with the background, but just as sort of a refresher, just prior to my coming to the county and working for the Parks and Recreation Department, the Board of Supervisors recognized the need for therapeutic recreation programs for adults with special needs or with disabilities. And essentially the way it was explained to me is, there seems to be enough, there can always be more, but programs for children, but once you start to age out, what are the adults going to do? I think Kristen can address that a lot better than I could. And so they learned of therapeutic recreation, which is for adults with disabilities for recreation purposes, or to provide access to recreation opportunities, everything that we typically do in Parks and Recreation world. And they worked with the Human Resources Department and developed a therapeutic recreation position, put that together, and which was immediately before I arrived. So that was the first thing that I tackled once I became the director of the Parks and Recreation Department. And I ended up hiring Jamie. So she's the first ever therapeutic recreation specialist for Isle of Wight County. The good news is she has a large network of people that she works with. There are some very well-developed therapeutic recreation programs in Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, in Norfolk, James City County that she works with. So, and when she came on board, just like I do with all of my employees, provided her with goals and expectations. So try to be very clear about what her role is with the department and for the county. And it was explained to her from the get-go that the reason she's here is because the Board of Supervisors wanted to develop programs for adults with disabilities in recreation. And then when she's not doing that, she's developing programs for children with disabilities. So far, that's worked out really well. I think Jamie would, she'd be able to explain it a lot better than I could, but we found since she started working here and developing programs specifically for adults and specifically for children, that they don't conflict with each other because they don't necessarily recreate or they're not necessarily available at the same time. So we found that it's difficult, for example, off on a little tangent here, it's difficult to offer programs for children with disabilities throughout the school year. Unless it's spring break or summer break, it's tough for families after school, after dinner, homework, whatever it is, to get to Nike Park for programming. So, been able to work around that, but typically it's usually during out of school time, which leaves a lot of time for adult programming. And that's why the RISE program was born on Fridays. And we're always looking for other opportunities for more adult programming. Now, fortunately in the summertime, we do have programs for both youth and adults, and it seems to have worked out really well. So with the department, she's creating both programming for youth and adults. And we use all of our parks and recreation programming, we use kind of a continuous feedback loop, constantly asking the community, what are the programs that you need? What are the programs that you want? Is what we're offering working for you? Is it providing the services that you're looking for? And what could we do different? So we're constantly doing that. We recently had approved and adopted by the board something called a master plan for our Parks and Recreation Department. And what was involved in that was a lot of community input meetings, a lot of stakeholder meetings, surveys that went out into the community. Some of you might have completed those surveys and returned those. They ended up being, because we got a large enough sample size, ended up being valid results, meaning they could be repeatable, and it basically gives us a really good idea of what programs and services that the Isle of Wight community needs. And that includes therapeutic recreation. So we pick off of that. We pick off of input from the community through surveys, and we lean on advisory boards like the commission to give us ideas of what kind of programming we should do, which kind of leads us to the commission. So one of the things Jamie was integral in doing right after she arrived here is helping us set up the commission. So making the transition from a task force, which had a very specific goal, and task force aren't designed to live forever. And once they meet their goal, they go away. But we were fortunate enough to transition to a commission and establish this. And so now, aside from the department, moving on to the commission, we look at the commission, which is utilized in a lot of parks and recreation agencies all over the country, as like an advisory board. So she's a liaison, of course, to the Commission on Adults with Disabilities. She's here to help create programs for adults with disabilities and to listen to the commission's sort of desires, wants, needs for programming. So if there's anything that the commission thinks, we've got this field day going, and that's going really well. That's going to be something that happens every year. But if there's anything the commission believes that we should be doing, for example, you learn from your community in Rushmere, or you learn from your community in Windsor. Okay, these are the things we'd like to see for adult programming for adults with disabilities. That's what we would take back. And or if the commission believes it's a program that they would like to do or an event that they would like to do, we would help facilitate that. A good example is, for a long time now, the county has had a commission on aging. So it's a commission developed to address or to develop programs and services for older adults in the county. But we also have like Jamie, a counterpart over in Parks and Recreation that is just for senior programming. So she does senior programming for the department, and she's the liaison with the Commission on Aging, and she assists with programming for the commission or listens to any of their concerns or desires for programming. So the Commission on Aging has some very well-established events. Some of you may have been to a Christmas event, Sweetheart Ball,
the summer events,
the Tiki Time Ball. But anyway, it has some very popular special events that sell out. So we do those nonstop, and anything else the Commission on Aging would like to develop. So they come up with some ideas. But she also runs her own senior program. A lot of trips. She's got a trip to Myrtle Beach coming up next week. So there's a lot of things like that. So that's my way of saying she has a role with the department. She has a role with the commission. So far, it's all working out really well. If there's any suggestions on things that you'd like for us to do as a department, or that you want to develop as a commission and use us to help facilitate or coordinate, we're here for that as well. Are there any questions about that before I talk about the budget a little bit? Does that make sense? Yes. Anything?
No, I was just thinking about Special Olympics. I mean, I wasn't here last month, so I don't know if we talked about that. And I know we've been talking about that as a commission for some time to get Special Olympics for our disabled adults here in Isle of Wight. I don't know where are we on that, or how?
We're not. It's at the, so I would very much like to have Special Olympics for youth and adults. I would also like to have senior Olympics as well. So that's something I've been talking to our senior recreation specialists about. But Jamie has that for homework to find out, and would love to work with the commission too on how to start that. So we're at the stage where, okay, how do you set up a Special Olympics for adults here in the county? I do know, because I've worked with Special Olympics myself in the past, that it's going to involve trying to figure out what type of games that you want to bring. And that could be, for example, something that the commission would be involved in. So it's you don't have to have all games or anything available. It's trying to determine what sort of games that we'd like to do. What we have for youth right now that Jamie's doing was a ready-made program that was developed by Special Olympics. This is a Special Olympics youth development program, sort of developing a pipeline to be able to participate as children get older and developing strength and agility and speed and things like that. So she just had to basically sign up and say, yes, we're going to offer that program. As far as adults, that's going to take a lot more development. But we'd be happy to do that. I'd love to do that.
Do you think that if the commission were to form a committee to work with Jamie, we could move this thing forward? Because I know there's a lot of excitement.
I mean, we've been talking about starting basketball and.
Or bowling.
Or
both.
We haven't, nothing else.
And I know, Renee, you have interested in that.
As do I.
And
Well, when the Special Olympics came and spoke to us, I did exactly what she told me to do,
Right.
to be the person, I don't even remember the title, that Jamie needed in order to start it.
Volunteer help.
Yeah, she needed one adult, I signed up for it, did the background check. But nothing since then.
You didn't hear anything back from Special Olympics?
Mm-mm.
that is another question that you and I spoke about the other day is, are we talking to the right, I know there's Special Olympics programs in Suffolk and Newport News.
Right.
I know that at our last field day, the Suffolk Special Olympics people were there and were available to us. I'm wondering whether maybe, I'm just throwing this out, maybe we need to approach them. If we're not getting anywhere with Newport News right now, apparently there's some.
Yes, sir. I think it could be, since we're at the point where we're not really sure how to get off the ground, and it seems to be difficult to work with the Special Olympics themselves, that maybe working with an established program, we're trying to at least use them as a mentor to help give us some guidance is the way to go. We can absolutely do that.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would think it would be great to have a Special Olympics and a Senior Olympics as well.
And I don't know anything about Special Olympics, but they could be something like Little League. They could be different districts, different regions, and we
They
kind
are.
of fallen
Yes, sir.
out
There
of the
are
cracks
different
because we're not in
Yes.
there.
Yeah, they
No,
are.
we have our own region. I
Right.
mean, we had a bowling in Franklin. Is that part of bowling?
The town of Franklin?
Yes. No?
No.
Okay, so they bowled. We did do that. Okay.
Absolutely something we want to see.
Some research to find out where.
Well, I don't remember the lady that came. Who came, Jamie? Where was she from?
So her name was Allie, and she was kind of the person that I was talking to about getting it started. And it took a lot. It took me a year to get it started and me become the title that they needed to
Right.
offer things in Isle of Wight through Parks and Recreation. And then she left as soon as I got that done. So then I had to speak to the higher up person in Special Olympics. And there's just so much that goes into offering programs. It's like a whole nother job to be able to do all of their policies and offer programs and make games and sports and coaches and teams. It was really confusing. So when she said, you can offer something small to start with, that was the young athletes that I do. So it's once a week for 8 weeks, and it's just setting up small stations with pre-chosen things that they participate in with a parent. One parent has to come with each child. And now a new person is in Allie's position, and I've tried to call her a couple times to say, you know, this lady I know signed up to be the treasurer, and you said we needed that. We don't know what she needs to do. I don't know exactly what I need to do.
Oh, that's how we were supposed to be able to have access to the funds to be able to just
Yes.
start it. You needed one other adult, and I went through the whole process.
And it's very confusing. I guess because I don't work for Special Olympics, so
Right.
being kind of like an outsider trying to learn everything is, like I said, just like a whole nother task. And so, yes, I do also want to offer bowling or basketball. It's just very challenging.
Our
I'm
vision
working
is,
on it though.
we're trying to keep it simple, but that's not as easy as it sounds. The vision is a one-day event of several games for Special Olympics. That's all we want. I'd like a one-day event for Senior Olympics. That's all I'm looking for. Senior Olympics does have a pipeline where if you're in the
so
right
that's
region,
not Special
you
Olympics.
can move on. No, it's not. So, but these are two things that I think we can do, and these are two populations or demographics that I think would really appreciate that.
Mike, I think that they don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they want like a games, like a field day kind of games. They want they want a team. They want to do basketball games like how we do mixed games, and we play other people and do like a coach and everything.
Right,
Right.
and you practice once a week, and then you go to the Special Olympic events.
Yes.
And you participate as a team at those events. It's like 2 or 3
Yes.
a season.
Yes.
And then you go to states.
Are you familiar with the golf program right there in Suffolk at Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, well, Brendan's part of the one in Newport News. He does
Does he
basketball.
play golf?
No, he plays basketball.
Oh, okay, no,
And-
but I was just
yeah.
saying, like, we have Anna in our group
Yeah.
who plays golf.
No, well, Brendan didn't want to do golf. He was
Yeah.
basketball.
But that's just
But-
something that's local if anybody has any interest.
Yeah.
Anna's really thrived with that.
Mike,
But
I know
we'd
you
like to
have
have
some.
something closer to home.
I know.
I think we'll pick this up under new business. Right? All right. Mike's gonna tell us a bit more about the budget.
Oh, okay. Well, the other issue was maybe perhaps provide a little bit more clarity on how the budget works and consequently the budget for the Commission on Adults with Disabilities. Without boring you too much, so the Parks and Recreation Department has 3 divisions: administration, parks and grounds maintenance, and recreation. Within recreation, we have several different subdivisions: athletics, seniors, therapeutic recreation. So the budget for this commission and anything that the commission wants to do, so for example, the field day is really the only thing that's established right now, comes from our recreation division budget. So what happens every fiscal year, and it's already started again, I start for the department in October. The county administrator is going to start asking me for input in December, and then it's due in January. All the programmers, for example, therapeutic recreation programmer, puts together all of the programs and events that she is going to offer, and tries to come up with the direct costs. How much is everything going to cost? What is involved in putting together the field day? What do we have to buy? What do we have to rent for the field day? Adding all that up and coming up with a budget for therapeutic recreation. So anything that the commission would like to do, have a commission on adults with disabilities, whatever event, X event, like the seniors do, commission on aging events, that would come out of our budget. We would, Jamie providing her budgetary subject matter expertise, would sit down with you and try to figure out how, based on the program or the event, what are the costs, and we would fold that into the recreation budget, and so that would get folded into the department's budget. Just like the Commission on Aging, and I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself with that, but it's a great example. It's a well-established commission. We have 2 that we liaison with, Commission on Adults with Disability and the Commission on Aging. Their budget is also within the Recreation Division budget. So any programs that they want to do, there haven't been any new ones, but there are these well-established special events throughout the year. We would work with them to figure out exactly what all the direct costs are, come up with a budget for that event, a budget for all the Commission on Aging programs, and we fold that into the Recreation Division budget. And that becomes part of our request for the department's budget for the fiscal year. So I guess that's my way of saying, if there's something, again, if there's anything as an advisory board, you say, hey, you know what, I think the department maybe could do this. You have the resources, you have the expertise, you have the budget, you have the facility, whatever it is. We would sit down with you to try to figure out the logistics and then try to come up with a budget. It's not that we can't create new things throughout the fiscal year. It's just this is the time we want to try to plan for all that stuff so we know what to ask for in case it's more or less than what we're currently funded for. Or if there's anything that you want to try to do. For example, again, right now we're doing the field day, but if there's another special event that the commission would like to do, perhaps you develop a subcommittee, put your heads together and say, this is the thing we want to do, or special event subcommittees, we would like to do this during the springtime or around the holidays. And Jamie could use her expertise to help you develop a budget for it, and we could figure out what we need to have in our recreation division budget. That's essentially how it works. Does that make sense, or are there any questions about that?
What's the budget year?
So currently we're on what's commonly referred to as FY26, so fiscal year 26, 25-26. We'll be putting together the budget for FY27 this fall, winter. That'll be due to the county administrator in January. And then he'll start sitting down with all the department heads and go over it, and then it goes to the board in the springtime.
So the budget, do we have a set amount that we're gonna put aside in that budget? Will we have to use it for each section?
Well,
Or we combine it, and then when y'all pass it, whatever amount the budget is, we go and then get it, but we don't have a set amount that we can stop at. Got to within that budget, stay within that budget in order to get what we need.
I think the answer to your question, sir, is yes. So there will be, in this division, recreation division, there will be one amount that the
Right.
board gives us for
Right.
recreation. And then it will be divided up into all of the different cost centers, is what we call them. Athletics, seniors, therapeutic recreation. So Jamie will get her share for therapeutic recreation programming that the Commission on Aging is funded by. If that makes sense. So it's important for her, athletics, the seniors, Windsor Town Center, all of them to stay on their budget for the overall budget
Right.
to stay.
The budget for the upcoming period is pretty much already established, I would assume. In other words, when will the vote be taken on the budget?
So we're currently on, so the fiscal year, and I apologize, I'm reading something I'm saying, but the fiscal year runs from July 1 through June 30th. We're currently on FY26, fiscal year 25-26. The department, we start in October putting it together for the next fiscal year. In December, I'll get what's called a budget package from the county administrator. He'll send this out and say, it's time to put your budget together. It's due in January. So I have to have the budget for the department, which will include therapeutic recreation in January. And then they'll spend from the county administrator and the board will spend from January until June. Well, it has to be approved by May, otherwise it's automatically adopted. They'll spend from January to May working on fiscal year,
Talking about it.
fiscal year
Beat it
27.
down, beat it
So she has to project what the programs are going to be for July 1 of 2026 through June 30th of 2027. She has to project what those programs are. She has to ask you to use your vision and imagine what kind of events you would like over that time period. And then that'll get submitted in January.
You had anticipated where my question was going.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question?
We'll try to tackle this. Mike,
Yes, sir.
look at this.
Frickin'-ees.
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 You did one great thing when you came to the county and you hired Jamie.
That's what they tell me.
She's an excellent
Yes, she
person for
is.
the position that she does. As a member of the commission, I look forward to working with her. And anyway, I used to, as a commission, we need to remember that anything we want to do, we need to let her know during this process. If we're gonna have a day of our own, we need to let her know so she can put it in the budget. I used to do the budget for the Carrollton Volunteer Fire Department as a president. It's not easy, especially for emergency services. You don't know how many calls you're gonna run, what fuel costs is gonna do, what, you look at the crystal ball. But we need to let her know. We can't come to her after the next budget's approved and say, we want to do this, we want to do that, there's no money in the budget for it.
Right.
And that budget lasts for a year. So we'll be more than glad to work with you, Jamie, if you just come to us and ask us whatever you need.
And at the risk of speaking for Jamie, so if there's no input, if she didn't have a master plan, if we didn't have a master plan, if we didn't have surveys and community input, if we didn't have an advisory board, she would be back there in her office creating programs, writing the budget for those programs. And so if you have something, or if the commission wants to develop something on their own, something you put your stamp on, something you make a commission on adults with disabilities event or program, she'd be happy to work with you on using her expertise on events and programming to develop the logistics and help come up with a budget and say, okay, this is what it's going to be.
What happens if any money is left over in the budget for the public rate? What did y'all do? Did it carry it over to the next year?
Well, that's a board of supervisor budget and finance issue. If there's ever in any department budget, if there's money left over, it goes into contingency. Yes, but it doesn't carry over to my department. So if I just pulling a number out of the hat, if I don't spend $50,000, I'm not getting that the next fiscal year. I don't have an extra, but I can't keep saving it.
It's kind of like the government, they spend it all because they know that.
Yeah, that's what
Except we're not allowed to run a deficit. So
That's
spend it all.
Mike, one other question.
Yes,
How
sir.
old is the commissional agent? I know it's been established in the county for several years.
Oh,
It's,
I'm sorry, I don't know exactly when, but it's been around a
It's been
while.
around a long time.
Yeah.
so that input they give y'all helps with the programs that they've done. I mean, that's been a good fit for Parks and Rec and the Commission for Aging.
Yes.
I'd like to see us, as a commission, be the same fit on Parks and Rec so that we see something that we need, we give them plenty of heads up so we can get in the budget.
You could have some of their commission members come and talk to you at a meeting, just kind of get their input on what they've done.
That's a
things
great
they do.
idea, Jamie. That's
They're
a
really,
great
yeah,
idea.
they're really good people.
I'm scheduled to speak to that commission next month.
Oh, very nice.
Okay, so
Well,
I will
then it comes to
return the
us.
invitation
Yes.
and ask them to come and speak to us.
The only thing that I would say is perhaps a spring or fall event, whatever it would fit into your schedule. Since we have kicked off this program with the Heads Up program, that perhaps we could put a little bit of money in the budget for a day with fire and rescue, either at the fairgrounds or at Nike Park, to set up maybe hamburgers and hot dogs, demonstrations of fire and EMS equipment, and perhaps enough money in that budget for hamburgers and hot dogs that we cook and give to people who show up. I think that would,
We can't have
I
activities.
think we could combine that with the spring field day,
Yeah.
bring the two together, yeah.
right.
And that's the genesis of an idea. That's kind of how it works. It springs forth from there. And like if that was something you move forward with, as a programmer, Jamie would try to figure out all the details. Okay. In our experience, for example, these are the best dates and times, the best time of the year, how to
Not too hot.
deconflict it, right?
People,
And how to deconflict it with other things so you don't have multiple events going on the same day. You know, everybody's going downtown Smithfield, nobody goes to your program. That's all the kind of things that she can help.
And I would just go back to, you know, when Don's came and met with us and talked about, our purpose as a commission was to educate,
Facilitate.
advocate, facilitate.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of what we still need to get is to be known. That we still need to get that social media out. We still need the towns to be willing to put things out there. I know they have, but we just need more and more exposure in order to get more people to be sitting here knowing what's going on and learning what's going on and bringing to us what it is they want.
Yes, ma'am.
They need to be coming. So it's the visibility and the idea is how do we continue to make that happen? And certainly that shouldn't be a huge expense,
And again, we use them as an example. And I'm not saying this is what, this would work for this commission, but the Commission on Aging has figured out a way to have these special events that provide things that the senior population wants, like the congregation, the community, getting together. And they figured out a way to use that also to advocate for senior needs. So you'll have special guests come and discuss things like Medicare or whatever it is, or senior fraud, especially at the health fair. But even at the Christmas event, speakers will talk. So they figured out a way to advocate for that community, for that demographic.
And that's what we can do.
In their events, in their programs.
I want to thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to move to new business. Is that all right?
Do we going to talk about your county fair present debriefing?
Yes, I think we should, very briefly. My experience at the fair was that we didn't have a lot of visibility, and I only had a very minimal number of people to sign up. Now, I'm hoping that that'll be different tomorrow night when I set up for National Night Out. I've spoken with the Sheriff's Department. They're expecting me. I have a table, and I'll be more centrally located, I think. And I will also have the inducement of a bunch of Halloween candy to get some people over. So, but I think probably all of us who participated at the fair realized that we just were too far out of the way to really be able to do much. And the people that I did get, I actually left my table and went out and looked for people who had people with them with disabilities and called them over to the table to show them what we were doing. But so if we go back to the fair, I think that I made a mistake not going ahead and talking with Parks and Rec at the beginning about us having a separate identity there. But that's a lesson learned, and that's on me, nobody else but me. All right. So if we decide, and we'll talk about that, of course, after the first of the year, if we decide we want to continue to have a presence at the fair, we'll sit down and we'll make sure that things are better organized. And that we have something fun to bring people over. I thought that was a big thing. And I have some ideas, but I'll hold those for when we're closer to time.
I spoke to both the fire chief of the county today and to Captain Potter with the sheriff's office. We are finally getting the heads up program started. The sheriff's office kind of kicked it off this week where patrolmen have it in their laptops and their cars, forms available. The fire chief promised me that this week he would get it into all the fire stations. I've been to all of them. He finally got one in his hand that I gave to one of his paramedics. So he's ready to kick off that program. So Captain Potter talked to Mike at Dispatch, and he's got like 12 individuals registered right now in the CAD system. And with this event tomorrow night, perhaps we can collect some more through the churches. And I got Mr. Jefferson on White Tower out at the fair that he was carrying to Rushmere Fire Department so they can get them in their vehicles. Hopefully this thing just gets started, it'll be like a snowball, and as it rolls, it'll get bigger. So maybe by next year this time we'll have an effective program.
Takes time.
It takes time.
So I invite anybody who'd like to come out and join me tomorrow night, at 6 to 8 over at Eagle Harbor. The only thing you'll need to bring is a chair. I have everything else, then I'll have it set up. I'll probably try to get there a little after 5, get the table set up, and love to have everybody out for a while. Thank you. Thank you, Fred.
I'll be there.
What kind of candy you give? Bribe.
As normal, I attended last school board meeting. I did gave the whole board and some of the staff at the school some of our flyers and information, asking them to come out and attend, some of our meetings to get to see. And I also spoke to the representative for the Carteret district to see can he get somebody from down there to be a part of the committee. So I did do that last month for the school board meeting, and I'll do it again. I keep bringing it up and tell somebody that.
While you're at the school board, I got something up. I got a grandson that plays junior varsity football at Smithfield High School. It is a shame that this county, you go to the high school, you go back to the football field, there's 2 handicap parking places close to the gate, 2 in the front of the parking lot. For, I don't know, Smithfield's got a good JV team this year. It's not a whole lot of grandparent parking, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people with disabilities that go to those games. And their parking, as far as I'm concerned, for this county, and a facility that big is atrocious. I'm sure Windsor's the same way. Parks and Rec, very few handicap parking spaces there for kids that are, grandparents are watching a soccer game or something. There should be some reserved spot for the elderly.
Or just those that are handicapped. It's horrible in a varsity game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nowhere.
You can't find a place to park. I go to the JV game and get there an hour and a half early so I can get a place to park, so I don't have to walk all the way through the parking lot and then all the way up the stairs. It's a lot of walking. And it's just, to me, it seems, a few more handicap parking places would go a long way. I noticed that when my oldest grandson played baseball there, even the rec leagues, my brother just had a knee replaced. His grandson plays up in Richmond. Some of these ballparks, they got 4 or 5 fields in from the parking lot to the field the kids play on, maybe a half a mile.
Yeah.
It's also possible to have temporary handicap parking simply by setting up a rope or a chain with a sign explaining what that's for. I'm sure that what they will say is, well, we don't want to have that much handicap parking when we have so many students that are driving
But
to
at
school.
the high school, because I can tell you this, several years, there's an area past the gate, all the way behind the school. They don't let anybody park there. Maybe the bus from the visiting team. They could open that up to like grandparent parking. Not for young people, but for older people, where they can park closer to the field. It's just, they got the space, and not utilizing. Problem with that is everybody that runs that athletic program are young people. They don't have disabilities.
I agree. It's a long walk.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Even if you're in great shape, it's a hike.
So,
Well, the way the school's designed though, they don't wanna miss the opportunity to charge.
oh yes,
So that's why they block it, especially in the back, because it's really late back there, So you had to walk a mile to get in, just to make sure you.
well, that's what they understand, you got to pay by your phone.
Yeah. Well, before we didn't, we had to pay cash and hand it to her, so they had us, both the second, you couldn't even get it back
You
there.
got to go to an app.
Yeah, that's another
And-
thing.
and-
The ticket's $5, but it costs you $6 because $1 goes to the app.
Yeah.
That's what high school is. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, that's another complaint people have, but.
Yes.
Mr. Oswald, if you'll take that too, then we'd be interested to hear a response.
I've talked to some people there.
Thank you.
To like make it.
I am going to change the topic into new business because I know Kristen has had a long day, and I did want to mention to, well, actually, to bring it to the attention of the commission, that the commission has an opportunity to partner with the Something Special gift store to have a very small program to maintain the landscaping in the front of the store. You know, there's a very small plot of land there and some beds in front of the store. And we have some young people who we think would enjoy and benefit from being involved in this type of thing. We are thinking of a very small program that would allow us to make seasonal plannings of about 4 or 5 times a year. For instance, maybe a little Christmas tree out front during the holiday season, pansies in the winter, mums in the fall, this sort of thing. And we would do this using pots on either side of the window. Some of you who've seen the Something Special building know that we have 2 windows out front and then a small patch of grass. We have someone who has donated a small old-fashioned style push mower, but since the area is so small, I think it would actually be fine for that. But we have talked about this. Heather has taken the lead with this. Kristen and I have talked with the board of Hands and Hearts. We need to make you aware of it and see if the commission is comfortable. We don't really have a program right now where we're directly liaisoning with an organization. And I think this would be a nice small-scale way to start and to see whether we could develop a program that might pique some of these young people's or older adults' interest in gardening, a small upkeep project. So I'm opening it up to the commission.
I just have a question, would you have to have the landlord's permission since you don't own the
That's
space?
the one thing we would need, and we're waiting on that. But we also need the commission's approval before we move ahead with this.
Isn't there 4 businesses in that building?
Yes. Well, are there 4 right now? There's
Sign says 4, I would like to say.
Barbershop,
the barbershop,
restaurant, those.
and I think something is moving in upstairs. Now, we did talk to, we've talked to some of the people that have businesses in there, and we explained that we wanted to do this as a program, and they were supportive. But they all said, of course, you've got to get landlord permission before you move ahead. We would not be talking about a great deal of money here for this program. Small amount initially to clear the beds, cost for large pots and planting soil, and then occasionally whatever plants we choose to put in to complement the building. So that's the plan as we pushed it forward so far. But again, if it's going to have the commission's name attached to it, I need to have your approval.
This is my problem.
Okay?
I own commercial real estate.
Mhm.
Okay. Whoever owns that property is renting to 4 different individuals.
Mhm.
They are making money off the building.
Right.
If they want to keep their
Well,
clientele
3 are, Fred.
happy, they should be putting this.
The landlord
To make the
should be.
land look better.
Mhm.
It all falls on his shoulders. The people that rent my land, if they wanted shrubbery, they could get it. I may have to go up a little bit on the rent, but I mean, they're contractors. But, he's got 4 businesses in the building that, it really makes a difference when people walk by as to how the public sees the landscape.
May I address that? I'm trying to reach the landlord. We have a very unusual landlord. Howard can attest to that. And he's not, and I think he's going to be, to have a positive reaction to this, but I'm asking him for compensation to us. The real drive behind this isn't so much, it is nice to make the building look prettier, but it's a project, it's something to help beautify Main Street and add another skill set to our members who are volunteering there. But I fully expect the landlord to fund the operation.
Yeah, and he should.
Yeah, and I just haven't gotten permission from him yet, so we're not moving forward
You're
yet.
making improvements to his property.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think as a commission, we should be making improvements to somebody else's property.
Oh, and I don't think we were asking for the commission to fund anything.
We
Yeah,
don't
we
think
didn't
we,
know.
we'll,
I don't
we
think-
don't think we would need commission money. We think
But
we
but
can
we're
do
but
this.
Heather
without-
Heather as a commission member is liaison, she, with us, with Hands and Hearts, to make this happen.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
So-
fine.
Is-
So, I think we need to have a motion that we will support this, as a liaison program without funding.
Yeah, we can put that in
I
there.
think that's the language that we need there. And, I need somebody to,
Because we'd be using Jamie's money.
I'll
No,
make
this-
the motion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, without funding. because
And if he says no, if the landlord does not support
Heather,
it, then we'll have
Heather,
to.
Heather says she is gonna take the lead here on this.
I'll second it.
All right, so can I get a vote of those who favor our liaison program, pending liaison program, please say aye. Aye.
Yeah.
Any nays?
Go ahead and follow me.
Okay. All right, we've had, for us, a very long meeting this evening. And I would like to get into the Special Olympics idea some. I don't know if we want to tackle this tonight, or whether we would like to form a committee and discuss this and then bring it back to the commission in November.
Can I suggest two things when you're talking about committees possibly? I think that's a great idea, to form a committee to talk about special, so that we can work with Jamie and then bring it back to the commission and all say this is what we wanna do, does the commission approve of that? And then the other piece I think we need to, and I know we talked about this once before about the whole budget process, that of course, and I think it's great that we won't have a budget.
Yeah,
Thank
Me
God.
too.
You know, that we can just come up with plans and then talk with Jamie and work together and figure out, hey, is it feasible? Is it gonna be too much money, you know? Is it not something we should do? So I think we need really two different subcommittees to be working on those two things, to work with Jamie, to then come back to our group and
Mhm.
get the group's input and decide how we wanna proceed in both of those areas.
There's also another
Thoughts
issue,
on that?
and I should have just liked it. We brought it up at the last meeting, and the minutes said we bring it up tonight. What is a term? How long are we on the commission? When do we rotate off? Is it with our board of supervisors elections? We need something.
It, in the bylaws, which I thought I'd brought, actually I was gonna read to you.
I have them.
Okay, we are appointed for a 3-year term. All right,
We're all in at the same time.
yes, it's true because of the way the commission was formed. Now,
We all go around it.
we also serve at the pleasure of the, a person in our district. So,
Maybe don't show.
Yeah, because I mean, Renee was mentioning, just as an example, you know, people on the aging,
right,
are not people that she selected, they're her predecessor.
right.
So she had to decide, you know, she'll have to go to the board and say, I agree to keep this person on there. So I
Right.
guess that would be the same thing for us, if
So the
you're,
max you can serve is 6 years.
I feel like
Members of the
myself,
commission
so-
shall in no case be appointed for more than 6.
There we go.
okay, good. I hadn't got that
A
page yet.
former commissioner may reapply for membership after a minimum of 1 year, so you have to take a 1-year break and then you can serve again.
Oh, I had that underlined. In no case be appointed for more than 6 years.
But when I put the Joel said that if, like, let's say he doesn't get reelected, the person that comes on the board can
Yes.
choose to get rid of you
Yes,
and, you know, just nominate their own.
that's correct.
Yeah.
So that's always, you're not guaranteed.
I'll be gone.
Let's move back to the committees for a minute. I know,
I didn't need you for me.
Renee, would you head up a committee for Special Olympics?
Sure.
Is there someone else who would like to join Renee? And Jamie, I'm sure she would be liaisoning directly with you, so you'd be part of that committee.
I'll do it.
Okay. Now, that's great. And I will certainly be there if you need me at any time, if you want additional support on that. Now, the second committee would be concerning the budget. Am I correct about this?
Yes, you're correct.
All right. And I would be more than happy to serve as chairman of that committee. And I would like an additional member. Again, Jamie, you and I would work together on the budget.
Yes, sir.
Is there someone else who would join with me, and we would meet and in the future with Jamie and talk about budget concerns?
Well, I don't think I should do those, so.
No, I don't think you should either.
I wouldn't mind sitting in, I mean, if where the meeting's gonna be at Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
Yeah, right there with Jamie's office.
Well, I'm not far from there.
After
That's what
everybody
nomination.
retired, they come during the day.
Come on in. I just got a chair in my office now.
oh, you've got a chair now.
So
Okay, so,
you need to.
Somewhere for you to sit without having to get it from the front. Yes.
all right, so we have, I'm going to put these two together as a single motion. We have a motion on the floor to form two committees. A committee for the budget so that we don't surprise Parks and Rec with requests down the road. And a committee to help push our goal of bringing Special Olympics to our county. I'd like someone to second that.
I'll second that.
And, okay.
I'd like to ask one question. Shouldn't we set a projected meeting date in the future so that it doesn't get pushed to the side and here we are at the last minute trying to put a budget together when she's ready to?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Perhaps let her tell us when it's convenient for her, the budget committee to meet with her.
If
How soon
you
does she
just
wanna
call
start?
me and I'll look at my planner, I can help pick a date.
All right. So I'll get with Jamie, then get with you, Fred, and we'll, I do agree with you, Fred, that we need to do this soon. All
To
right,
have something finished before schedule is a lot better than trying to
yes,
finish at deadline.
all right. Okay, and then Renee, you and Jamie would get together and do the same thing, set up a time to meet.
Yep.
All right, very good. Is there any other new business this evening? I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank the public for being here. And I really appreciate our speakers as well. And I move that we adjourn for this evening.
And one more question, have we had any luck with the car from this?
Well, as a matter of fact, Renee, would you like to introduce?
What we did?
Well, Lori, Rosie, right, Don Rose's wife, is interested. So she came tonight to see what we were about. Oh, it's so cool.
We don't bite, Lauren, we don't bite.
I know, I mean, you guys are pretty all right.
Oh, that would be
Yes.
so awesome to have
Yes.
you, Lauren.
And our meetings aren't usually quite this long.
No, never, they're never
Just
an
an
hour.
Just to clarify one small point.
Yeah.
When do they start?
6 o'clock.
6
6 o'clock.
And usually we're done at 7.
Yes.
Tonight we went a little long. We had two good speakers, so. But I want to thank everybody for being
Thank
here.
you.
And you all have a great evening.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
o'clock.